Welcome back to Garage Matters. Now this 2017 Toyota 4Runner needs an oil change, and I thought what better way to introduce these ramps than to do a review on them. Now come on over and let me tell you my initial impressions of these two floor ramps. Now my initial thoughts when I was unloading these ramps out of my pickup truck is that they're really light, and that's already making me question if they're gonna be strong enough to handle this 4Runner coming up these ramps without breaking them in half. Now in order to make this review as fair as possible, I brought out my other floor jacks. Now these floor jacks, I brought them out just for reference so I could give you guys a little comparison of what I'm used to using and what we're gonna do a review on and attempt to use to change the oil on this 2017 Toyota 4Runner. Now let's come on over and take a look at this floor ramp right here. See how it's constructed. Let's take a look at the welds. So up here the welds look like on this front stop right here you have 1, 2, 3 welds, 3 tack welds on here, which is, I guess that's alright because it's just a bump stop right here. But we'll come down over here to the sides right here where it really matters. So on these side rails right here, you have 3 of them, 3 support sides right here. Take a look at these welds. Hopefully y'all can get a close-up of this and take a look at it. But yeah, so that's the weld right there. Down here, take a look at the middle ones, and then the one over here as well. Let's go ahead and flip this over. Let's flip it over and see if it's welded on the other side. Around to the back side. Alright, so on the back side, there's no welds on the back side. There is one weld right here. Same with here. Nothing on here. Okay, so let's flip it over. Looks like these support beams are only welded on one side. Actually, 2 sides. 2 sides. This side, and then one side on the back. But then up here, it's not welded on the upper back part right here. Okay, so we got 3 welds on these side support beams. Let's take a measurement of these support beams. See how thick they are. Now I'm gonna do my best to measure this side support beam, the thickness of it. We'll start at number 2 right here. And it looks like it's roughly around about a 1/4 inch, just a little over a 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch thickness for these side support beams right here. 1, 2, 3. And we'll go ahead and flip it back down, measure the other support beams, and take a look at the thickness. So let's talk about the load capacity. We need to talk about this load capacity. Flip this around. Alright. Now the funny thing is, this floor ramp says it has a load capacity of 5 tons. Now, I don't know if I trust this thing to be able to jack 5 tons or hold 5 tons. That's over 10,000 pounds. So these side support beams again, they're about 1/4 inch thick. And you want this to hold over 10,000 pounds? Okay, I don't know about that. But let's take a look at this bottle jack right here. So this bottle jack, I'm gonna go ahead and measure it. And then we'll look at the other jacks that I have as well too. Alright. Now this bottle jack that comes on this ramp will say about 7 inches. I'll say about 7 inches, and we're gonna say about 2.5 inches wide. So 7 inches and 2.5 inches wide. Now let's take a look at this little floor jack over here. This little floor jack, it's only rated for 2.5 tons. Let's take a look at the bottle on it. So this bottle right here, I'm gonna measure this bottle real quick. So about 7 inches again. And we'll just do a quick guesstimate, about 2.5 inches wide. So you have roughly the same size bottle jack right here, holding 2.5 tons right here. And you have almost the same size over here, claiming to hold 5 tons. So over 10,000 pounds. I just don't know how I feel about putting 10,000 pounds on this ramp right here. Now, we'll come over to the big boy over here. This is the floor jack that I always use in this garage on all my vehicles. It's held up this Celica GT4. I've already used it on the 4Runner. I used it on my Frontier. I used it on Camry. I used it on many different other vehicles. And this big guy is only rated for 3 tons. So she's rated for 6,000 pounds only. But let me pull it around to the other side right here so you guys can get a good reference on how big this is compared to the other one. We're gonna go ahead and measure this bottle right here. So this bottle is roughly around, say about 8 inches. And it is roughly around about 3 inches wide. So this bottle jack for this 3-ton jack is so much bigger than this little 5-ton bottle jack right here. So I'm not quite convinced that this little bottle jack's gonna hold 10,000 pounds when you have this way bigger, beefier bottle jack only being able to support 6,000 pounds or about 3 tons. So I'm not too sure what I really want to think about this one so far. Or it could just be as simple as it being made in China. But who knows? And not to mention, but this green floor jack, this thing probably weighs close to 80 pounds. This is really heavy. Heavy duty stuff right here. So that's what I'm used to. And that's what I'm accustomed to. So this entire review is gonna sound like I'm trash talking this, but I'm really trying not to. That's just what I'm used to. I'll do all the specs on here and you guys can decide for yourself if you want to use this to list up vehicles like this 4Runner or other vehicles that you might own in your garage. Now when I picked up this floor jack from my buddy's house, he forgot to give me the handle. So we're gonna try to use this other handle, put it in here. Unfortunately, it's not gonna fit. This handle's too fat. I'm just gonna use this to kind of show you something that I noticed right off the bat about this design of this bottle jack over here. So what I noticed is this, when you go to jack it up, when you put the handle in here, it's gonna bang against this top rail right here. And let me show you how much travel you're gonna get from this bottle jack when you pump this one time. That's one pump. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I think you get the point. You're gonna keep banging this handle against this upper rail right here. And this is barely gonna move. I personally don't like this design right here. I wanna pump this up as quick as I can so I'm not working my forearms too much. So that's just my personal opinion. I just don't like this design right here. But let's show you how much travel you get from this other floor jack with one pump of the handle right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so probably not the best jack in the world, but at least when I go to pump the handle, it's not banging against anything. Kind of like this one over here. So the travel, unimpeded. And now let me show you how fast this other jack travels. Now this jack, you could either step on it on this footstep right here, or use the handle. I'm gonna use this footstep right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 steps. This jack is already this high, and this makes work a whole lot easier and quicker. Here we got the release. Turn it counterclockwise to release the pressure. And that's gonna go right back down. Okay. Tighten it back up. So it looks like once you got this jacked all the way up, there are these pins right here that you stick through this stand right here, these legs right here. Okay. Do the same thing over here. Stick them through these legs over here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now let's take a look at this. This is on the third hole right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna stand over here and let you guys see how wobbly this is. This is how wobbly it is. One finger. Now, okay, now can you imagine your vehicle being on top of this, wobbling like this? I'm not comfortable with that. It's not tight. I'm scared the vehicle's gonna fall right off. So for me, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna use this. Now let's take a look at why this is so wobbly. We'll come down here to where the pins are at. So you can look right here into this area where these legs go into. See how much space there is? This is flushed all the way to the side, so you got all this space in here where it's just gonna wobble like that. So I don't trust my vehicle being on this stand like this. Got the other stand ready for this 4Runner to come right up here, but just looking at it, it looks like the tire is just too wide for this right here. Let's get a close-up so I can show you what I'm talking about. Now this tire is a 265, so it's 265 millimeters wide, so that's about 10.5 inches wide. So another reason why I don't want to use it is because these sides right here, they're not 10.5 inches wide. I'm going ahead and measure it. So they're about 9.5 inches wide. So you have these sides up here, 9.5 inches wide, coming straight up like this. And you try to put this tire that's 10.5 inches wide on here. That means some of the sidewall of this tire is going to be resting on this little sidewall right here. And I don't want my tires to be resting on this sidewall right here. I don't want them to deform the tire or possibly pop the tire. So as far as even just using this ramp, just to get this elevation of about 12 inches of elevation to get underneath the vehicle, do an oil change, I'm not gonna use this ramp at all. I don't wanna risk the tires blowing coming up here, so I'm not gonna use it. That, along with the wobbliness of this, and the thickness of this right here, I just don't trust my vehicle being on here. I don't trust myself being underneath this vehicle on these ramps right here. Now these ramps might be better suited for smaller vehicles that don't weigh as much or don't have such a wide tire like this 4Runner. It might be better suited for them, but for this vehicle and the vehicles I own, it's not gonna work out for me. These ramps are as good as trash. Now since I'm not going to use these floor ramps to do this oil change on this 4Runner, I'm going to stick with what I know best. I'm going to use a regular floor jack with jack stands. That way I'm not doing this during the oil change. And remember, join us next time on Garage Matters and hit that like and subscribe button.